Well, hi there. This is Jim the Keys bartender coming to you from on Tuesday. And this is going to be an unusual thing, but obviously I said recently that we weren't going to talk about the pandemic, but we, like many municipalities and places in the world, in this case in the United States, living in Florida, in South Florida to be exact, in the epicenter of the epidemic right now. We the Keys next week on I think it's the 27th and 28th, Wednesday and Thursday, we have this thing called mini season. And it's when people come down and at least in Monroe County, you can get 6 lobsters per day from a you can just catch those, and you can get that's 6 lobsters per day. But what happened was, let me put these notes in there. BOCC meeting. Meeting update. So the lobster mini season, you get 6 lobsters. You have to use a bully net to get these lobsters. You can't use traps. That's what the commercial guys use. So what people do is they dive and they use a bully net and a tickle stick, and you kind of coax the lobster out, and you can get up to 6 of them as long as they're up to a certain size limit. So a couple days ago, I guess yesterday, at 11 a.m., the mayor of Monroe County, the head commissioner, let's say, was called a special meeting for 9 a.m. this morning. And it's still going on right now. And they had an open forum on Zoom where they got people to call in and ask questions, make statements, and things like that about petitioning the state or the FWC to cancel mini season in Monroe County, knowing full well, it was, I don't know if it was mischaracterized or was just that one commissioner particularly said they wanted to get the ball rolling on restricting mini season in the future to get ahead of it, and so I don't know if it was it appeared to be political theater, that there's some people that just don't want it. Some of the commissioners, and they happen to be in the majority, don't want to do anything because it restricts business. And I understand that. I work in the restaurant business, and there's a lot of business interest down here. Hotel owners, people that have properties that rent out to people. There's dive boat charter businesses, fishing captains, and all this stuff down here, and they all have an interest in having people here. And then there's a lot of residents who are concerned about the extra cases down here, the high growth in cases. Now, the argument by the people that, we are a tourist town, what are you going to do? We're not going to get paid if we don't have tourists down here. That was, maybe there's 900 cases, and there's 900 cases right now, but maybe some of them, maybe they weren't all 900 cases, but then again, there's not that many deaths here. I mean, we don't know at this point whether the people that were taken out of the county and passed away are counted on the county list anyway. So currently there's 6, maybe 7. Someone from Marathon may have just died, and there's a bunch of other people where there was questionables, but I won't get here or there. But with 800 cases, and we have anywhere, the numbers bandied about was 51 to 57 people hospitalized, and that went up greatly since we reopened. and we will know approximately. We'll know in several months what the actual cost was for this. But this meeting today, this Board of County Commissioners meeting that was held on Zoom, I got on to it, I guess about 20 minutes after they started taking phone calls and taking questions and statements. And half the people that were on the call were people who do not live in the area. They may own some properties down here and they're business owners. So they aren't voters down here. If they say they have a residence, if they do vote down here, then I have no problem with that. But just having a business in the area doesn't mean that you have a say in. Yeah, I know you got to pay taxes. Why don't I get to have a say? Well, you have a say. You have the say in the municipality or the place you declare as your residence. You don't get two says. You don't have one up in, let's say, St. Petersburg, where you live, and you own some properties in the Keys. So, I mean, you don't get the vote twice. That's what I mean to say. But there were a lot of people like that. People said, I've been coming down here for years and blah, 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 blah. And there's, if you're familiar with Zoom, there's a feature that allows for comments. And there was a couple people coming on and they started going on separate issues, talking about politicians, national politicians. Not so much national politicians, but state politicians. And casting. But right now, it just seemed as if there was really no political will by people to want to do anything. Everything they talked about was somewhat half-assed, they want to do something to curtail the increased infection rate, but they don't know exactly, and they talk about the minutia. For mini season, what happens, there's a lot of people that come down here from other parts of the state and other parts of the country, and it's a tradition for some people, and I understand that, but it's also a pandemic, so fuck your traditions. They're not saying it's a tradition, that'd be like saying if there's a forest fire and says, well, we go on a camping trip right here. Well, if there's a forest fire going on right now, you can't camp there. I don't care if you've been doing it for 100 years. But the big question was businesses versus resident health. And I guess the business side is taking light on the infections, which they can. They just say, hey, listen, this is what these people are infected, but there are, some people are hospitalized, but look at the death rate. The death rate, it's a math problem to them. How many people get hospitalized? How many people die? You don't, cite your sources. Give me your sources. Blah 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 blah. And until someone dies in their family, that's what really shuts them up. I know a couple people down here that lost people close to them due to COVID-19, and other people that lost people to questionable. People in their 50s that died of strokes and heart attacks that were classified as strokes and heart attacks. And they have some questions about what happened in people that died before they started keeping track of it. So they've moderated. They normally, chime in on things like that. So with our commissioners, one of our commissioners talked about how many years he and his family has been doing this and stuff like that, which is sounding really great. I mean, if it was if they weren't trying to combat the infections and they were just talking solely about the mini season, which it's funny, I'm in the restaurant business, stuff like that. I have no problem with people wanting to go diving and before the commercial people and all that stuff. But the problem I have with is not those people, and it's the people that poach and that overdo it. And the thing is, if you live down in the Keys, you know that the people that skirt the laws don't do it by 10%. They do it by 500%. So if it's 6, if they're going to go over 6, they're not going to go and take 1 extra. They're going to take 6, and then another 6, another 6, and another 6. Sometimes they just take it and store it on board and say, oh, these 6 people, they're here and stuff. They left the boat, or they go back to the dock and unload their, or give the cooler to someone else, and they take it and you restock the new cooler. There's all sorts of things you can do, just as long as the people in the boat match the number of lobsters you have. But they've been caught, and when they get caught with enormous amounts. And we know this from the drug wars, that they catch people with millions and millions of dollars of cargo and stuff like that, but much more gets in. So that's what the thing is. And I don't get the idea. I understand that when there was an opening of the season, they want to have, they say the argument, if we have the opening of the season, we don't have the mini season, then they're all going to come on the opening of the season. Well, maybe restrict the opening of the season. I mean, the thing is that people don't respect, some people don't respect the limits they put on it. And lobster aren't an endangered species. From what I understand, I've talked to marine biologists and stuff like that, that's a circular thing, meaning that there's the circle of life when it comes to lobsters. They come out of the mangroves, the Everglades and stuff. They have the eggs and stuff like that to circle around. You can clean out all the lobsters in one area, in our area here, and then next year there's going to be a ton of lobsters again. Yes, that's just the way it is. And the way I view it is, it's a bad return on investment. Why not let the commercial guys go at it? That's in a non-COVID year. Why not let the commercial guys get the first crack at it, get the best lobsters and stuff like that? They live down here. They spend money down here. They supply the restaurants. We get the local lobsters down here. And I understand there's people that, oh my God, this is what I like doing. I like going and, you're not doing anything spectacular. You're going to water, you're getting a dumb insect, you're coaxing it out of a hiding place into a net, and it costs, whatever it costs you to do it, you say you enjoy it, whatever it costs you to do it, you can, get the same amount of lobster just going out and pay for it at the end of all, gas and time and things like that. And I just have a feeling that its days have come and gone for this mini lobster season. Now, with COVID-19, the way that people come down, because Miami-Dade and Broward, they're all shut up in the north because of the spike in cases. They have no place to go. There's all the restaurants are closed to in dining in Miami-Dade. They only for takeout and delivery. And down here in the Keys, we are open for dine-in, even though the bars are closed. So we're getting, this is the thing, but it's common sense. Let's do a little thought experiment here. Who are the people that are most likely now to go out in a pandemic and go to a tourist area when there's a big spike in cases, instead of trying to go to a place where there's no spike in cases? Let's say Maryland, the Jersey Shore, places like that. Obviously, you're not going to get lobster there. I'm not talking about, or New England. You may want to take your family there. But the people that would go to a place and say, well, we're going to go out and we're going to be surrounded by other people that think like we do. It's because they don't see it as a threat, which is fine for them. And if they lived in a vacuum where they didn't get other people ill, then I understand that. But they don't live in a vacuum. And what they do is they come down and as a little petri dish. Now, when they're on the water, I understand they're on the water. They're not infecting other people when they get out of the water. When they come in, you get large groups of people. They're together. They're more likely to not protect themselves. So any one of their group that is a false positive, let's say a false positive, asymptomatic. An asymptomatic is a person that has the virus but doesn't display any symptoms. Someone that's asymptomatic spreads it to all those people when they're together, when they're dining, when they're doubled up in their houses or their motel rentals and things like that. And then when they go out to restaurants that are still for dining in, they, and this is the tough part because, the bars are closed, so we're open. The restaurants are open and are supposed to be open. If you're a restaurant, you're supposed to be serving food and drink and not just drink. And there are places that are open where people just go out and drink. Now just think of the kind of person. Now if you're concerned about catching it, you're not going out. You're wearing your mask, you go to Walgreens, blah, 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 you buy your liquor, stuff like that. You go practice social distancing, wear your mask when you can't be 6 feet apart. And that's what you do. But the people that have that would go and entertain the idea of coming down here are people that are least concerned and at least, let's say they're not into the belief that the coronavirus is dangerous, or they may feel it's fake and it was created to do, even though the whole world is wrapped up in it. And that, come on, dictatorships are adhering to it, and dictatorships are run from the top down. So, whatever your theory is, it's happening in every country, but some countries are handling it better than others, and we didn't. So the BOCC went on, they did it, they took their phone calls, some of the tourists saying, hey, listen, we'd like to come down, but you guys don't sound very inviting. Oh, your vacation? Are you worried about your vacation? 140,000 Americans have died. That's, if the numbers are correct, probably, they're suggesting that all the other people that died who weren't diagnosed because of COVID-19 could be anywhere 250,000 people. So we're behind, the Civil War. We're going to be catching up. We're approaching my forecast is by the time this is all over, we're going to be approaching the numbers that we lost in World War II. So the only thing we're not going to surmount as a national crisis will be the Civil War. And then some people may make an argument and say, listen, that's it. The weak, they were meant to die. But we're in the 21st century. We're not talking about the Black Plague. And these people, these people that have diabetes and COPD and all these things, they have loved ones too, and people care about them and they care about people. So why are we putting at risk? And this is what the meeting was about. The meeting was about, there's 900 cases in Monroe County right now. And, give or take a dozen, probably maybe 1,000, who knows. And we'll know in the end once they finally get all the correct numbers, which they did it. They did it in 1918 for the Spanish influenza. They figured out how many people died, even though they don't have the computers we have. We have people actively suppressing the numbers right now. And because it doesn't look good. Why would you want correct numbers out there? If you knew how many people were hospitalized, how much that costs us in the long run, yes, there's a lot of businesses that are going to be going out of business. That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. But if a business closes its doors, right? Isn't it easier to say your business closed your door than you had to close the door on someone's life? Come on. The dollars and cents, when you say what is a human life worth? And I just saw this meeting and I had this feeling. I thought it was going to be 2 to 3, that 2 people would be for petitioning the government, but it turns out it was 1 to 3 or 1 to 4. And the person that called the meeting voted against it. The person that was backing it didn't think it would really pass. And there was 3 other people. They were, there's one in Marathon. She was concerned about the businesses and maybe we can close a couple boat ramps. The thing about boat ramps down here is that the boat ramps, there's plenty of private boat ramps. And people down here see it, when they see an economic opportunity, they're going to let them do it. And yeah, they close the boat ramps for Wednesday and Thursday. They'll put the boats in the water on Monday prior to mini season. Or they'll put it in outside the county and come on down. It doesn't really matter. Yes. No, it's not about, one guy was complaining about how do you police the waters for mini season. What they were suggesting is trying to reduce the load on the amount of people that came down here. It was plain and simple. Key West imposed a very serious mask regulation, and there's always a lawsuit. There's already a lawsuit for it, even though all the countries that have seen a downturn in it have had those kind of laws. They had those kind of ordinances, but these people are citing their freedoms as wearing a mask. It's not the same. It is not the same. This is to protect other people. I just don't get the political equation. And so if you had the opportunity to go with go to the Zoom meeting, you would have heard about half the people being out-of-towners or people that have properties here. And then there's people that have properties here. And some of the people that have properties here were, I know a couple of them who have businesses that were against it. And there's a lot of people, the people that are, most vulnerable, they just say, hey, stay in the house, But eventually, this is not how the coronavirus spreads out. Not just you decide to stay in the house, but if you have kids, if your kids go to school or your kids go to a party, or you have, you have to go to work, it's the people that come down that you come in contact with. And right now I still have people that come in the restaurant, and one guy came in yesterday and he didn't have a mask on. I just say, hey, listen, until you get to the table, you got to put a mask on, but you get to take it off when it's. I say, yeah, that's just a rule. It's not, I realize it's silly. It's half-assed. But the restaurants are open right now. Yes, and I am bartending, but I'm enforcing what the ordinance is right now and trying to curtail whatever, trying to keep it from getting around, getting wider. That's just the way it is. And this guy says, well, the reason I didn't put the mask on is I was looking over there at the lady at the table, and she didn't have her mask on. I said, well, because she's sitting at a table eating. You realize that you can't eat with a mask on. I looked at the guy, and the guy looked a little angry. I said, when you get to your table, you can take the mask off. I said, put on the mask. And he started walking to the table without his mask. I said, put it on now. Come on. Don't. He's trying to make a point. It's like talking to a 5-year-old. There's no reason to have this. Just put on the fucking mask. There's a point. There's people out there. Even some of the. I understand your political thing. I don't understand what your calculus comes in. If you're a business person, yes, you think that maybe you're going to make out in the long run with this guy. But for people like me, I don't get your equation. Obviously you hate a certain amount of people and stuff like that, so you don't care if you infect everyone. And hopefully you don't have anybody in your family that gets it. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Even the people that, if you're an anti-masker, I don't want your people. I don't want your family to die. And, I care about your family too, if you don't care about your family. So at least someone does. And I'm sorry for ranting. I figure I had to do this show right now because I knew it was political theater for the Board of County Commissioners, that they weren't going to do anything in the end, and that the things they were going to do was, that some people who believe it's serious, maybe, I don't know in the hearts of the people that voted for petition, I don't know if it was Carruthers or Murphy, but at least they'll get to say, hey, listen, I tried to, but the rest of them wouldn't. So, I don't know what that is. They could have been a little more wholehearted in their, if they wanted to give an impassioned speech about the upturn in cases in Monroe County, and in hospitalizations, and about limited resources, and about having, maybe we don't have, it's not like we have a completely untapped health system in Miami-Dade, because they're under stress right now. So, but I guess we'll know in a couple 4 weeks whether I'm being histrionic or they were incorrect. And they'll see the equation, what the math is. How many people were hospitalized? Hopefully not a lot of people died. But if that works out, if it works out to their favor, then I have egg on my face. But I always suggest that prevention does. People don't pack reserve chutes on their parachute because they think that their parachute's going to fail. They do it in case it fails. That's prevention. It's just like when I get in a car, I don't expect to get in an accident, but I wear my safety belt, my seat belt. And same thing goes for, we do it all the time. We do things to make things safer. The windshields on cars, shatterproof glass is one of them. We do it to make things safer. You don't expect it, but every so often that happens. Every so often someone's going to get sick with this thing, and they're going to end up dying. Just the way it is until they figure it out. I think I had everything come out that I needed to say, and if there's anybody listening, thank you. And I'm sorry if it was not a cogent, thoughtful show, but I did go on BOCC, and I don't know if they read my comments, but I did suggest it was a distinct lack of political courage. I would feel, I understand if you feel that your constituency is business owners, because I had a friend explain to me, and believe it or not, a friend, they believe that the only people that should vote are people that own property, right? The only people that were allowed to vote. And it's kind of a neo-conservative or fascist kind of view to expect that, just because you don't own property. Remember, the largest property owners in the world rarely ever fight or fight battles. It's the poor people that do it. So the people that have the most stake in these democracies are the people on the ground, the people that make it work, that build the highways, that work the hospitals, that respond to the emergency calls, the firemen, the police officers. Right now, it's people that work in food service and they work in retail. They're not the property owners. The property owners, the wealthy people, are not the people that are driving things, and it's not like it's not like they're taking care of the rest of us. Everything that has been done at the assistance of advocates for those people. If there wasn't an advocate for the worker, such as a union and stuff like that, there'd be no minimum wage. There would be no Office of Occupational Health and Safety. There'd be no OSHA rules and things like that. They're important. It's important to look out for your constituency. And the Board of County Commissioners, their constituency seems to be, even when, and this may be hard for people to take, even when the majority is against an unpopular idea, if it's the right thing, sometimes that's the thing to do. The right thing to do is not the popular thing to do. But right now, I think the popular thing to do, they're not even doing the popular thing to do. Looking out for the greater good. I think they're looking out for certain people. And I believe in the end that we will see it. And maybe since we have record, people saw the decision making made in this time. It's not done in a vacuum. Once again, these decisions are made in a vacuum. People saw them, and people are going to see them. Some of the people that disputed this, maybe they don't. I would wager some of these people that are screaming on there have very small families and a small circle and stuff like that. Because if you do care about your family, you wouldn't want them to be exposed to any danger. You know, that's just the way it is. But this is Jim the Keys bartender. Thank you for listening. I'm sure some people are listening. Take care till next time, and I am out of here. Bye.